We're back. It is always good to go to Knoxville. I got a little preview, so I saw Tony Basilio, Knoxville sports talk show host, with what appeared to be a guitar. Can you play for us, Rocky Top?
I mean, I'm not prepared.
No, I know. It takes a lot.
It takes a lot to work it up.
Right.
How you guys doing today?
We're good.
It's like 75 degrees outside. Everything's
Crazy.
blooming. It's March tonight. I'm doing my post game show, and 9:00 Eastern tip time here locally. Don't get me started on that. Really appreciate the SEC doing that for the old people, and of which I feel like one today. And the wonderful thing is we'll be on till like 1:00 in the morning, so it'll be March. By the time we conclude our program, it'll be March.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to figure out how to roll into this.
Yeah.
Okay. With March comes baseball, and baseball has become very important at the University of Tennessee in the last few years. Kind of tell everybody what this whole NCAA thing was about over the weekend with Coach Vitello.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. If you talk to people inside Tennessee's athletic program, around the baseball program, they went to jail for a speeding ticket. And, it's kind of hard to argue with that when you think about Bill Self's self-imposed 5-game deal at the end of their odyssey with Kansas. And Kansas looks like they're going to walk free. And allegedly, Tony last year, this Maui Ahuna guy was the number one player in the transfer portal. And allegedly, Tony went to Kansas to see him during the SEC tournament, I guess is what his opponents say around him. But they held that kid out, George, for 8 games, which, a 50-game season, that's kind of crazy. And, these non-league games are used as sort of a ramp up to get ready, sort of like the way Major League Baseball uses, Grapefruit League, Cactus League games, just sort of to get ready for the real thing.
Sure.
And so that kid who's graded right now as kind of a second-round pick, is not going to get a chance to put a bunch of things on film that he would have ordinarily had an opportunity to. He's an excellent shortstop. He's a really nice player. Personally, I think that thing was once the Ahuna deal got out there and he wasn't cleared by the NCAA, I think there are a bunch of enemies that Tony Vitello has made and a bunch of people that were trying to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall on him. And at that point in time, you need a tough administration to say, hey, whoa. We're going to focus on the one thing in front of us here. And once that gets adjudicated, you're back on the field, which is essentially what Tennessee did in their athletic department after a little bit of pressure.
You know this coach very well. I don't know him very well.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's done some great things in building this program.
Mm-hmm.
Are there times where he looks for trouble a little too much?
No, I think there are just times where trouble finds him because he's just so hard charging and insane. And I say that in a good way. Look, when you come into a program like this that was as dormant as this one was, it takes a special kind of personality to make some headway there. I mean, I'll tell you a story. When he first got the job, I went over there and met him, and we were walking around the stadium, and he said, man, this place is great, isn't it? And I thought, no, actually, it's not. It's a dump. And he looks at me and he says, can you see it? And I was like, no, I can't. I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, man, this place is going to be full. And it's going to be incredible in here. And people one day are going to be scalping tickets to get into our games. I'm like, Tony, have you been drinking? Are you taking something? Like, what are you talking about? This is Tennessee baseball. I mean, you're going to be lucky if you draw 500 people. And George, that's exactly what happened. I mean, last year people were outside scalping tickets to the games. Kyle Peterson on one of those ESPN broadcasts said, "I've never seen anything like this." Now, granted, they're helped in that they have that small building, but this guy's kind of an enemy maker, and he's sort of a bull in a china shop guy. And in today's day and age, where a lot of coaches are more politicians than anything, this guy's anything but political. I mean, this guy doesn't care. He just kind of opens his mouth, and
Right.
what comes out of it, which is very refreshing. But at the same time, this guy makes enemies. I mean, the way his team kind of behaves on the field, like the other day. Now, I think they admonished this kid behind the scenes, but they have a true freshman on their team that hit a home run. And they have this thing called the 10-run rule now in these non-league games, where if the opposing team agrees to it, once you get up 10 runs in one of these games, like a mercy rule, it keeps me from burning my pitchers out. And then after a while, what's the point? So a Tennessee true freshman hits a home run. They call it a foul ball in real time. They go to the monitor and look at it. The kid knows it's fair. Everybody in the park knows it's fair. It's about 10 feet fair. It wasn't even close. And so George, he, after they called it a home run, gets in the box and recreates his swing and does one of these things after he hits it. He's like looking out at it. And the pitcher is so incensed that he's like following him around the bases, thinking about, do I tackle this little SOB who's showing me up out here? Yeah. And that's just, look, for better or for worse, that's how those guys play. And even with the young kids, that's sort of the it's sort of the expectation. Now, that kid was told behind the scenes, you're not to comport yourself that way, but to that kid, he's probably thinking, you could have fooled me. I mean, that's the way this team's
right.
been comporting itself for a couple of years now.
So let's take a look, Billy, if we can, at the tail of the tape right now of where Tennessee basketball is going into tonight.
Okay.
So they're 21-8 overall. At the moment, they're projected as a 3 seed. They've got 2 tough games. You know what Arkansas can be. And we know what Saturday at Auburn is going to be like. It's going to feel like a civil war. Mm-hmm. Tony, right now, what do you believe this team's ceiling is?
I don't know. I'm kind of with Watson Brown in that when you defend the way they defend and you're as well coached as they are, if they hit shots, they can go to the Final Four. The game's just not that good right now, George. It's just not. I mean, look, think about it. If Vanderbilt didn't have their slow start and they were healthy with a run up to the season, they'd probably be making headway right now in terms of the year and gaining on a NCAA tournament berth. Kentucky, right, for everything they've been through, they're tracking for like the 5 line right now, 6 line. I mean, for as bad as they were, it looked like they weren't going to make the tournament at one point. The top of the deal, Purdue right now, remains flirting with a number 1 seed. They've lost 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, if you can figure them, God bless you.
Yeah, and they're indicative of what's going on in college basketball, because there truly isn't a great team. There's a bunch of pretty good teams. Tennessee's in that mix. Tennessee has a win over Texas. They have a win over Alabama. They have a win over Kansas. But then they have some bad losses. And so depending on who shows up, like tonight, they shoot the ball, they win tonight. If they don't, they won't. And I know that's a silly thing, but Arkansas's got Nick Smith back tonight. And then that Auburn team, Auburn's probably going to lose tomorrow to Alabama. Auburn's probably going to need that Tennessee game because Auburn is flirting around with playing their way out of the tournament if they're not careful. So the Tennessee game's going to be a big-time important game to them. And, I mean, good luck going into that building. Personally, I think Tennessee would take 1-1 this week and call it a day.
So, Watson, his answer is almost verbatim what mine would be, which is it could be anything. Who knows? It's crazy. Take it from there.
No, I've never seen anything like it, and that's why I think Tennessee's sitting in a good spot. Everybody has been popping them in the head and giving them a hard time, and they're down a little bit. This is complete opposite of the way some of Rick's teams have been. So I think they're on the way back, and I think they got their leader back. I think Jordan James is the leader of that team. And he's calm, he's poised. They say he's a great kid. Everybody respects him. I think that really hurt them when he went out. Really hurt them. What do you have, 17, 19 when he gets back the other night?
Yep.
If he stays healthy and if they were to get some more of these guys back, I mean, Tennessee lost some very important players, and yet we're losing games. Most of the time when they were losing, they were last shots of the game.
That's right.
So I've not been as down on them as a lot of people are, but that's kind of the world we live in. Everything gets magnified. You're either awful or you're great, and you're never any in-betweens anymore in our business. And I'm saying, I'm sitting back. If I was said pick 5 teams, not of the first 4 that'll get the number 1 seeds. Pick 5 other teams. Tennessee would be one of my 5 that I would pick that could make this run, because nobody plays better defense than them. If they get on a run here and start making shots in the tournament, look out, because that's a deal breaker, because nobody's going to score a bunch of points on them.
Yeah, and I think that's right. And I think the team that they play tonight's real interesting because of their size. They're going to be a matchup issue for a lot of people when we get into the big tournament. The other thing you have right now, guys, is you have the fatigue of having these teams all know each other. And for the most part, this is second time through for most of these teams. Like when Tennessee plays Auburn, that's a second time through. A decent proportion of their opponents here down the stretch have been second time through. And everybody knows your magic tricks in your league. You know, you look at the way these teams play each other. And so it's harder to do things on the offensive end. Now, tonight, this will be the first chance these two teams get to look at each other. But, man, this Arkansas team has great length. You know, they're a team that's probably in a handful of teams that can make a lot of noise. George, Tennessee could literally go home. Let's say they're, like you were saying, let's say they're on the 3 line. They could literally go home on Saturday or Sunday after after their second game and not get through again. Or they could go to a Elite 8 Final Four. I mean, the range is that wide.
I'm with you. The range is incredibly wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think the team they're playing, Arkansas, to me, is one of those that I'm not sure. I wouldn't pick them in my top 5.
Agreed.
They are long, athletic, and they've got their scorer back now finally. And don't count that Arkansas team out now. I'm telling you, they're really good. There's Kentucky I'd put in there. I mean, there's some SEC teams that are hiding kind of behind the radar a little bit, guys, that for the first time I think are kind of going to be able to hide and pop up instead of being marked as one of the favorites and get knocked off. And Arkansas and Tennessee most definitely are that. I don't know if I'll put Kentucky in it yet. I just still hadn't seen Kentucky shoot, Tony, the way I think you've got to shoot. They are starting to get better. But Arkansas, to me, is impressive. That first half they played against Alabama the other day, man, that was impressive now. They jumped right in Alabama's face, and not many people can do that. But they're every bit as athletic as Alabama is. And Smith gets going. I think that was his first game back. If he gets going again good, he can put a Brandon Miller on you. I mean, he can put one of those kind of games on you too. So they missed him just as much as Tennessee missed Jordan James.
There's no question. And on Kentucky, I don't argue with people that are 104 years old. Sister Jean picked Kentucky to go to the Final Four up there at Loyola Chicago. So to the bettors out there, Sister Jean likes Kentucky. So watch out.
Beware.
He's 104, George. I don't argue with people that are 104 years old.
No, and the truth is you don't know that many people that are 104.
Exactly.
I know nobody that's 104. So, and
thank you.
I'm not sure I want to live long enough to know anybody that's 104.
No, thank you very little.
Hey, one last quick one for Tony.
Yeah.
How good is Tennessee
345, by the way.
Huh?
Dinner is at 3:45.
Thank you, George. He always says dinner's at 5 at the home. You better hurry and get off the show so you can get there. I mean,
Nice.
he's going to run me out of here one of these days.
He is.
Tony. You keep talking about how old I am.
Please, you take your shots as well. Don't sit there and, don't give Tony.
I take shots at everybody except my buddy Tony. I take no shots at Tony. None.
There's love.
Zero.
There's love, Watson.
Adopted grandson.
Tony is family. I take no shots at Tony. Zero.
We're paisans.
Quickly, Tony, how good are they in baseball?
Oh, they're as good as they want to be.
So they can make the run again. You think they're that good?
They can win the whole thing. The issue with them is they have the best starting pitching that you could ever imagine on a college baseball team. I mean, you got 3 guys who are going to pitch Major League Baseball starting for them. A 4th who's got a decent chance to get there. A 5th, a kid from Charlotte who's an excellent pitcher. A guy that they bring in throws in the mid-90s. I mean, they got arm on top of arm on top of arm. And the deal is with baseball, and you guys know this, the hitting piece comes. I don't know that their lineup is good enough to amass a bunch of runs once they get in the league play. But all they've got to do is get 4 runs in any game. 4 runs going to win them most games in this league, and against any top flight competition. They are that good. Their starting pitcher, Dolander, who is a transfer from Georgia Southern, came in here last year, is pick 1-1 in the draft. And they're using terms like Steven Strasburg for him coming out of college. He's the, no doubt about it, 1-1 pick unless he falters this year. And so far, he's not faltering.
Nice. Okay, last thing.
Yeah.
The Jeremy Pruitt staff got their news today. That's no surprise, is it?
No, but the piece that is a surprise, and we're going to watch this, is that Tennessee thought that their remedies were going to be enough for the NCAA, and they thought they were through the piece of what punishments are we going to have to take. And Tennessee's brass now feels like the NCAA is going to ask them for more, that their remedies weren't enough. Now, anytime you get in that spot, you start to wonder, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to issue a bowl ban? I don't think they're concerned about that. Will they lop off a few more scholarships down the line? I think that's possible. Recruiting visits, possible. Official visits, give me a couple of official visits back, possible. But needless to say, it's disconcerting anytime your administration thinks that you're heading out of the woods and the governing body says, not so quick to you. And I believe that's what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay. I want you to know that I'll be up supporting you at the point that you get to, post game tonight.
Thank you.
Watson will not be.
I was going to see if Watson was going to make that commitment. Watson, you talk about how fond we are of each other. Will you make that commitment? Will you be texting me and championing me on, say, 12:30 Eastern time, Watson?
Good luck on that.
Yeah. Call me, Tony.
Hey, guys, I just had a guy from a radio show text me, and he said, could you jump on with us 7 Eastern time? And I said, man, I would really love to help you. Unfortunately for you, I'm going to be sleeping at 7 o'clock Eastern time because preparing for our never-ending world we've created for ourselves around here.
Okay, how can they hear you tonight, even though Watson's not going to? He will not support you.
See, I doubt that. I think Watson he'll be texting. But at any rate,
he'll be deeply disappointed.
tclub.team. Again, tclub.team. Watson, are you a sleep through the night person? Because I'm not gifted in sleep. I'm going to wake up every couple hours.
No, if I wake up, I'm pretty much done, Tony. Now, if I don't wake up, I'll sleep good. But if I wake up, it's not much going back to sleep. So,
how about you, George? I'm not a good sleeper.
I'm not either, but I find if I really need sleep, I just turn on the radio.
There you go. and also,
After all these years in radio.
well, yeah, talk radio, right? Little talk radio.
Yeah.
Put you right back to sleep. George, I was thinking about you with this Major League Baseball stuff. When they get into the deal, the season, they're not going to call people out for too much time in a
let's
batter's
hope
box.
not. It's so silly.
Purists like you can't.
No.
I mean, look, I love speeding the game up. We all do.
We all do.
But that's ridiculous.
Let's be real about it.
They ended a game the other day.
I know. And it was the Braves.
And the fans were like.
And since it was in February, who gives a damn?
Exactly.
April, that's a different story.
Right. Love you guys.
You behave until next Tuesday.
I'm going to try. I'm going to stay away from Tony Vitello. Okay.
That's smart. Watson will not be with you tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Just
In
know
spirit, Tony.
Thank you.
In
That's
spirit,
not
buddy.
good enough. See you, Tony.